this one area of Eastern Ireland, all in the province of Leinster. Eventually, this whole case was dubbed by the media Ireland's Vanishing Triangle. Now, to note, like, who makes up the victims of Ireland's Vanishing Triangle, it kind of changes depending on who you ask and what source you're using, but I'm going to focus on the 6 primary cases that made up Operation Trace, which was the police's operation to try and investigate what actually happened in each of these mysterious and eerie disappearances. I also want to shout out the main source for this whole video. That is the book Missing Presumed by Alan Bailey. He's a former police officer who was involved in this case. You might remember I also used another one of his books for the Grange Gorman murders video I covered last year. Pretty good. If you're looking for more, always, of course, check it out. Before we get into it, if stories further dark, I'm talking true crime, I'm talking scary unsolved mysteries, I'm talking horror stories, that kind of thing is also your kind of thing, please subscribe because you'll see it every week. Now, let's give it a go. So to set the scene for the majority of this case and the cases within, it takes place in the east of the Republic of Ireland, all in Leinster, from Louth in the north down to Wexford in the south. Leinster is the most populated part of Ireland, Dublin sort of right there in the middle. And also just to note kind of a bit of context of what was going on in the country at the time, which is just during the entirety of the 90s. It was a time of great change in the Republic of Ireland. Ireland has always historically been a pretty poor country, even after gaining our independence, like pretty much right up until 1973 when Ireland joined the European Union. That's when kind of things started getting better and better. Then from the late 80s basically onward, Ireland experienced like a rapid period of economic growth. It went from like one of the poorest countries in Europe to one of the richest countries in Europe really, really rapidly. That period was called the Celtic Tiger. There was a number of reasons why Ireland went from poor to rich so soon. One of the main reasons was we had very pro-business tax rates, maybe a little bit too pro, but also education system around is quite good. English-speaking workforce, it's halfway between the USA and Europe, and then as part of the European Union, kind of the economy just like exploded. Shit hit the fan in 2008, but we're not quite gonna get there.
Wanking bankers.
The point is, people in this time period I'm talking about went from having no money to a lot of money very, very quickly. You know, they were buying houses, they were going on the vacations outside of the country and across the world. They were traveling quite a lot because jobs were everywhere. So people were very mobile at the time. Folk weren't really staying at home as much, for the most part. One woman who didn't stay at home, and is chronologically the first case in Ireland's Vanishing Triangle, that was Annie McCarrick. Annie was the daughter of Irish parents, but she herself was actually born and raised on Long Island, New York. Her parents had emigrated to the city of Bayport, right in the middle on the south shore of Long Island. And this city was home to a lot of Irish people when she was there. So Annie, an Irish American growing up surrounded by other Irish people, it would only make sense that one day, one of those days, lads, she's gonna want to get home and see the motherland, or fatherland, I don't know how to decide that, whatever, you know, one of them. So it was in 1987, she actually made the trek across the Atlantic and she arrived back in Ireland. This was part of a school tour, on a school trip, and she was there. Head over heels. She absolutely fell in love with the country, and when she went back to America after this little school tour vacation thing, she literally told her parents, like, that's me. That's where I'm going. See you later.
You're so stupid looking at this camera. I'll look at you instead.
She first moved kind of permanently to Ireland in 1988, a year after she finished school. She went to study in St. Pat's in Drumcondra, and then the other St. Pat's in Maynooth. She was studying to be a teacher. A lot of people who want to be teachers in Ireland, they go to those schools, like my own mother did. At one point she did return to New York just to kind of finish up her education, but it was in 1992 that Annie finally said, "Sinead, I'm moving there," and sure, why would you? She wanted to be a teacher here, and nothing would stop her. She left New York City for the last time in January of 1993, and she settled in Sandymount, south side of Dublin. And she already had a big gang of mates here from her previous time studying, so she was kind of good to go. She settled in right away. The day before Annie vanished was the 25th of March 1993. This was about 2 months after she had moved over. That day, Annie was working. She was still studying, you know, to be a teacher, so she had a part-time job in a cafe. Apparently she was well loved. Everybody loved this very sweet American girl who was working in this cafe.